Hey yo, what's up? What's up? Now look, check this out. Now this is my take personally, right, on discharging debt and remittance coupons, right? Now, I think everybody misinterpreted when everything is dealing with public and private. So when we looking at public and private, we think Amex is public, or we'll look at Walmart's public, right? But when you're going deeper into understanding, every corporation have their own private right on whether or not to take your use of exchange and to accept it for value, right? Because that entity won't be considered public in a sense where they can make their own discretion when trying to discharge debt or accept a negotiable instrument. If you ask me personally, what do I think is best to use a remittance coupon or try to use a instrument to discharge debt? You want to use it in the public. And when I mean in the public, I'm talking about government, court buildings, for child support, um, even restitution and anything like that. So say for instance, say if a person caught a federal case and they got caught with drugs and everything like that, and the judge sentenced them to prison, but they also set a restitution fee. They say, hey, I set this restitution fee at $2 million. Now you will try to get that restitution fee discharged because a lot of time when you're looking at court and you're looking at how certain procedures work, when a judge found you guilty or the jury found you guilty of a case, the judge has the option on whether or not they want to give you restitution fee, like a fee for restitution. So it's not even nothing that's really been established or anything you took out. It was just strictly off the discretion of the judge. So you will want to implement those instruments directly to the court to get a discharge. Also, another thing that I think is best to use a remittance coupon or something to set off debt is the IRS, because the IRS work within the government. Because I read a few United States codes that also deal with negotiable instruments. And those will be good instruments that you can use for discharging debt on a government basis, for government type of debt, or courts and stuff like that, like state courts and everything like that. People trying to discharge debt from Comcast or trying to discharge debt from AT&T. Those corporations are private. They have their own individual private rights. And everybody says, oh, were they licensed by the state? They have a business license to do business. But as a corporation, they still have their own executive, their own private rights to pick whichever instrument that they want to accept for value. Now, a company that I would agree, if you wanted to discharge that, make sure you with a like a military type of bank, like Navy Federal. That's a government bank. So if you had crazy debt with Navy Federal, try to use that. And I feel like you would get way more leverage with Navy Federal than you would get with trying to discharge debt from a Chase Bank or try to discharge credit card bills with Bank of America. I feel like government institutions, you can implement those negotiable instruments and those remittance coupons. But when it's dealing with private institutions like private businesses, private companies, it has no leverage. It has no power at all. That's just my take on it. Y'all don't agree with it, it's cool, but just analyze that. Just look over everything I'm saying, and then you'll realize like, wow, he's right. That's what it means to discharge debt in the public, because public is government. A corporation is not government. Amex is not government. Comcast is not government. Another thing, right? AT&T, all these companies, they're not government. These are private corporations. They just have a license to do business in the state. They don't make them government. That's just like me. I got a corporation, and I got articles of incorporating with the state of Florida. That don't make me government. I'm just a private business, but I just got licensed by the state to do business in the state. But that doesn't make it a public. It don't make me in the public. You feel me? So that's what people get misconstrued when dealing with negotiable instruments, set off and discharge of debt, remittance coupons. They mix those things up. They think it applies to every company. They think since House Joint Resolution says this, that's everything to do with the government. So you owe the government $2 million in restitution, you can get a discharge. So if you owe the IRS $10 million in back taxes, you can get that discharge. So if you owe, let's say you owe the court a fine, right? For $2 million, you get that discharge. Somebody sues you in the court, and the court enter a judgment on your behalf, and you want to get certain things discharged, you can get those discharged because that's government. You can't discharge anything in the private. Even though we use a Federal Reserve notes, that's not public. That don't make my institution in the public. That's what people misconstrued as well. Because the government have to follow the United States codes. The government have to follow some laws in the UCC. But a private company, that don't apply to corporations, private companies. You think if you went to me with a piece of paper and say, I accept for value, return for value, I'm gonna look at you and laugh. I'm not the government. You take that up with your government. You take House Joint Resolution of 192, you take that up with the government. You're gonna take